Today at Nick's Garage, Nick continues with the 1969 Charger 500 restoration. On the list, front suspension, steering, and brakes. Welcome back to Nick's Garage and the restoration of this original owner 1969 Charger 500. Once again today, Nick has a selection of tools and parts laid out, ready to keep working on this iconic car.
And here we are another day here at Nick's Garage. And we have another day to work on the Charger 500. And I want to do something very unique today. That is the front suspension. So I got Robert and I that's gonna help us work on this Charger 500. You know, we got the car back finally in our shop. We did the engine installation, suspension. We also did the headliner. And right now today we're doing the front suspension. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of detail on the front suspension, which is a very unique and important pieces of the car. It includes the suspension and the steering and of course the brakes. So I'm going to give you guys a little breakdown before we install it. As you can see, we have one side installed completely and we're going to do the other side, but I'm going to give you guys a breakdown. And another thing I wanted to show you something which is very, very rare, which does not exist today in many cars right from the factory, is a front drum brake assembly. Eugene, the owner of this Charger, 1969, he wanted to reinstall the brake drums back in the front. You know, I need to put this car on 4 wheels. We have 3 wheels on it right now. So we need to install the right front setup, put the wheel, so we can roll the car forward, open the doors, and start working on the interior. So let's get going on the front end, which I'm very excited. So Robert is here on board with us to help me out with this today. So here, let me just give a fast description of the parts that we're gonna install today. Okay, we're gonna first start with the lower control arm, which is right here, which we had the bushing installed here, which is called the lower control arm bushing, which a lot of people do not replace when they do a complete front end. But to do this, you got to remove torsion bar, remove everything just to get to this bushing. So we had this installed, new bushing, and we had the arm put back in, lower bumper stopper, so when the car bottoms out, it hits the frame rail. So this is a lower bumper stopper. And then we have the strut rod that holds the control arm from the front K-frame to the control arm so that it does not move back and forth, like so. So we're gonna just show you guys. So we also installed new bushings. We had a lot of these pieces powder coated. We had all the threads cleaned out, like so. And then after that, we have the lower ball joint, which we're going to put back the same ball joints. We had them greased up. They're not greasable from the factory. They're the original ball joints to the car. They're nice and clean and nice and tight. We're also going to put the tag that goes back in place that says do not grease, which is a factory item, which we're going to put back on the car. And this piece unites with the back plate. And the back plate right here consists of the wheel cylinder that you always replace in a full restoration. We also have the brake shoes replaced and all the hardware, spring kit and all. And of course the back plate was also powder coated. So we're going to unite the spindle, which connects the upper and lower ball joints and also to the back plate, which is all going to be uniform together after. And we're going to get to that in a little while. And also, we have also the upper control arm, which is on the car, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes. And the upper control arm also holds the 2 upper bushings and 2 caster camber cam bolts, like so. That when you make the alignment on the car, the upper control arm is adjustable for the caster and camber also, which also has a ball joint that does not bolt on like a lower ball joint, which has 2 bolts like so, like this, which is bolted to the plate and also a spindle. The upper ball joint is screwed onto the control arm, like so. And in this case, you need a special socket, like this. Then you put it in, and you screw it on to the control arm. If you guys want to take a look at it, we'll walk right to it so I can show you right away. Here it is. We have the ball joint installed on the control arm. We have 2 upper control arm bushings replaced, like so. And there's our 2 offset camber bolts, camber caster bolts. And also on the rail, we also have the other bumper stopper, whatever you want to call it, which controls when the car, let's say, goes over a speed bump, or should I say off a bump, that with the control arm does not touch the frame rail, always has a rubber in between, which is called a stopper or a bumper. The same thing with the lower control arm. And we also have the brake line, which is right here. Comes from the master cylinder, which you're gonna have a brake hose connected to the wheel cylinder behind the back plate, like so. Which we're gonna get to that later on also. Then we have a torsion bar, but then we'll do that at the end when we start putting it together. But in the meantime, if I have mentioned everything, oh yes, come and see this. This car came from the factory with 11-inch drum brakes. We had the seal replaced, we had the bearings replaced, the cones replaced, we had the drums refaced, and we're gonna put it back on the way it came from the factory. Yes, it is something you don't see no more on the new cars. All the new cars today come with front disc brakes. But in this case, it is a 69. Eugene, the owner of the car, the original owner of this car, wants the drums back on. We also ordered him special brake shoes, and now we're ready for the assembly. And on the lower ball joint, we have the tie rods with a sleeve that this bolts into the inside drag link, which is the long bar from the steering box, and this goes onto the lower ball joint, like so. And then there's also part of the steering, and also when you do the alignment, you have an inner tie rod, outer tie rod, which are these, and then you have a sleeve that you can turn, which makes it longer or shorter for your alignment for toe in or toe out. And it should look like this. Control arm in place, strut rod, lower control arm, drum, brake hose, stopper, and the lower ball joint, the spindle, the upper ball joint, control arm. It's all there. And there's another very important item that goes to the front suspension, which is this front stabilizer bar or sway bar. We've got the brackets and the new bushings installed here. And also, this is a very common part, it's the stabilizer link, which is one on each end. This is tied to the frame, and this is tied to the lower control arm. So stabilizer bar is to stabilize your car, so when you take a turn, it doesn't swing over or understeer or oversteer or whatever you want to call it. So that is the purpose of a stabilizer bar, which we're not going to install today, but we're going to do with the rest of the stuff. And if you guys are ready, Robert's ready to give me a hand.
Let's go.
Let's do it. So we got the lower control arm, which we're going to install right now with the strut rod, like so. Okay, you want me to hold that? And you put it in place? A lot of pieces here, but you know, slowly but surely it will get done. Like so. You see that? Want to put this, okay. Okay. You know, it's nice. I remember when we took this all apart, we're so dirty, so rusted, so worn out. And this is the best part. All the parts are nice and clean, fresh, and new, and it's going to be a nice installation. And after that, it's going to give us a nice firm ride when we're finished with it. So we got the lower control arm in place, we got the lower stopper, and we have the front strut rod. We're gonna leave everything loose, we're gonna tighten everything up after, and then of course we're gonna torque them down. But in this case, we're just gonna show you guys how it's put together. And then we got a spindle that's gonna attach the lower ball joint to the lower control arm, and also to the upper ball joint, which is connected to the upper control arm. And then this unites everything as one piece, whenever you're ready. Okay, you know what, maybe we could use the impact. Use the impact, let's try the impact. You know, usually I don't usually use impacts, but this one I gotta spin it on because the ball joint has to be, it's tapered, so it's turning inside the spindle. So I need to turn the nut fast enough to grip it to get it nice and tight.
It's still spinning.
Yeah. There you go. I also wanted to show that what a spindle does also holds the drum assembly, which includes an inner bearing and an outer bearing. And this is the spindle, that's another purpose to hold the brake shoe. So as we go along, you guys are gonna see. Okay, now we have the lower ball joint. Yeah, you can put it on loose, go ahead. We'll spin that one on too?
This one I think we can do by hand.
Okay. Isn't it nice and we're nice and clean, all the parts? Well, it's a piece of recondition. The same spindle, same control arms. Many of the bolts in the front end, what we call is a castle nut. Has a safety feature. You can see a lot of these bolts in the front end, tie rods, ball joints, brackets or whatever. This is the bolt and this is the nut. And you can see it's like a castle. If you guys take a good look, looks like a castle. Okay, so we got the bolt that has a hole in it. The purpose is, once you tighten the nut in place, you have space and room to put a cotter pin. So okay, this way it's a safety feature that when the, like so, when you find the hole lining up with the castle, you can see the hole right through it. You put a cotter pin through it like so, okay? Then you bend it and you lock it in place. And there you have it. That's a castle nut, cotter pin. It's a safety feature, does not come off, okay? Okay.
So we can say that
we torque it down.
A torque specification.
You remember?
And yes, 120.
120 pounds. So we're going to torque down the nut for the lower ball joint. Go ahead.
And if
120 foot-pounds. Okay, now just line it up and that's it. Okay, all you gotta do is just slack it a little bit. This way we have to line up the castle nut with the hole so we can put our cotter pin in. You wanna use the breaker bar?
we have to go more.
It's too loose. Can I try it? Let me try it. Almost. I think we're good there.
A little bit more.
A little bit more? Just a little bit. There we go. There you go. This is what you need. So we're going to lock up the lower ball joint. When you want to install a cotter pin, you got to make sure that the head of the cotter pin folds right into between the castle nut two towers, like so. Put it in, then you bend one, cut it, and the other one you bend down, like so. And there you have it. So the lower ball joint is done. You know, we're working on a car right now. I'm not going to mention which car it is. We found a lot of the bushings were worn out, a lot of the bolts were not torqued down, and a lot of the cotter pins were not there. So my client sees that we're doing the job on the Charger 500, and now he's told us to do the same for his car. And he also mentioned, Nick, did you do the same thing on your Kawasaki Challenger? And I said, yes, indeed. And he goes, Nick, whatever you did to your car and to Eugene's Charger, you do the same for mine. So there you go. One car after another. Okay, so now we're going to put on the back plate that holds the brake shoes. We're going to unite now the spindle and the two ball joints together. I'll hold the back plate. Here it is. And we also had the wheel cylinders replaced, like I said earlier. Spring kit, brake shoes, everything. This is part of a full restoration, you guys. There's a lot of pieces when you're putting a car together. Every little bolt, screw, clip, cotter pin, everything counts.
Okay, so now what we want to do is to put together the ball joint with the back plate. So we got the bolt through here, and what we have to do is lift the ball joint and put the bolt through.
Like so. And there's the other bolt. And this one takes the tag here. It says do not grease. Okay, it's worn out. We're putting back the same unique pieces. We'll bolt it in place and it's gonna look good. It says do not grease because you can't grease them. There's no grease fittings on the lower ball joints. We had them greased before we put the new boots on, ball joint boots. We had them greased and we're putting the tags back on. But if you look at the upper ball joint, there's a grease fitting. There's no tag on that one because you can grease the upper ball joint. We're just gonna put it together the way the factory did. Okay. And there you go. Starting to look like a car now. People want to know how drum brakes work. This is a cylinder. It's got a pusher and a pusher here. That when you press the brake pedal, you're building the pressure inside the master cylinder that brings the pressure through the brake line, through the brake hose, into the cylinder in the back. And what it does is it pushes out two shoes, or I should say two pushers that lean against the brake shoes and do this. They open up. And when they open up, they put force on the drum that make the car stop. On a disc brake, you got the disc and you have a pads on a caliper. Instead of opening up, they squeeze the disc. So that's how a disc brake works. On this case, they open up, goes against the drum, and slows down the car. Like Tim's car, he has a Roadrunner, which we did earlier. He's got front drum brakes. So does this car. I've driven it. You know, okay, it stopped well, it stopped straight. So some people like to keep it original, and if it worked for them, why not just leave it? And for example, on my Kawasaki Challenger, I had drum brakes in the front. I had them removed. I installed another set of disc brakes I had from another older Challenger that I have done. You know, I'm a disc brake guy, not for the rear, just for the front. So that's the conversion I did. But then again, brake drums work, not as good as discs. But then again, you know, it all depends on the owner of the car. If they also want to convert to disc brakes in the future, there's no modifications to be done. It's just a bolt-on feature. So if they want to upgrade on that in the future, they're always welcome to.
And also, the drum brakes keep the heat inside, while a disc brake is ventilated and will move the heat away. And these springs here are made to, when you release the pedal, the springs push the shoes back into position.
And that is the reason why you have a spring on the drum, is to cool down the drum, right here. I know they're factory, so I lift them on. And also we have new bearings and new seals installed here. We have the same drum, we had it refaced, as you can see, being refaced. They were pretty thick, so they were good to go through another cut, which we have done. Another important item, which is one of the most common thing on a car, which is every car has one. It's a shock absorber. I didn't mention it earlier, but this is the shock we're going to install, but not in this color because from the factory they were black. So this is a blue one. I've just brought it here just to show you guys what a shock absorber does. What it does is, it takes the rebound, also makes the car ride smoother when you drive it. So when you have an up and down motion, this slows it down. And this will be one of the last items to install. Okay. How's it going, Robert?
Coming down together slowly but surely.
You want me to tie it down for you?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to do yours? I'll hold it.
You better use yours.
Okay. Ready? Ready? That's good. That's pretty good. Now the other one?
The other one I like to do.
You hold it and I'll turn it. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Let me get the nut closer.
All right. Okay, go ahead. Okay, you
take over.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to torque him down later on, but in the meantime, we're just going to tighten him up for this. We're going to line up the castle nut with the bolt so we can put the Carburetor in since we're there. So we're going to do it right away. You hold it and I'll turn it. Yeah, I'm going to turn from the front.
It's right.
Yes.
It's right in the hole.
Okay, you tell me what you want. Ready?
Yeah. Okay, let's see. A little bit more.
You're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I think we're a little more than that.
More than that?
Take a look. It's right here.
Yeah. Yep. A bit more. Watch your head.
Okay. I think it's fine.
Let's give it a shot. They're pretty tight. Here we go. There it is. Okay, now let's do the one in the back. What does it need? Tightening?
Yeah, I don't think we're very tight right now. So.
Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty tight.
It's really tight.
Ready? Okay, ready?
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
That's pretty tight, man. See if the Carburetor pin fits. Take the light.
Just a little bit more.
A little bit more. Okay. Ready? Tight?
Yeah. I think we'll be good.
All right. I can't wait to see this car sit on its own 4 wheels. But it's coming good. It's coming good. Do not forget, you guys, this car was last driven in 1974. How many years later? Oh, I also wanted to say one more thing, that when you got a brake drum setup, you have a set of brake shoes, front and rear. It's called the primary brake shoe and secondary brake shoe. If you take a good look, that the primary brake shoe is much shorter than the secondary. It's got less material than the secondary brake shoe. Just to keep in mind, the rear brakes is the same story. Okay, now we're going to tighten the 2 smaller bolts here on the back plate. Then after that, we're going to work on the front strut rod, and then after that, the torsion bar. Okay? Okay. Okay. There we go. All right. Next, so we're going to tighten the strut rod. Then after that, we'll put the
pivot.
Oh yes.
The pivot, the strut rod from the back.
Okay, let's go. I'll raise it. So now we're going to go show you guys the torsion bar. Okay, go ahead. We got the torsion bar loose on the cross member. We slid the dust cover, or the boot I should say. So we're going to put the strut rod, the pivot nut, and the torsion bar all in at the same time. Okay, we're going to tighten up the strut rod, which is held to the front of the K-frame and to the lower control arm, like so. Then we got to torque it down 100 foot-pounds, you said? Okay, bring the torque wrench. There you go, do your 100 foot-pounds. Turning. You know what? Give me a second. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna tighten this, okay? Give me a second. Oh yeah. What size was that? It's on this one here?
I think it is.
Okay.
15, 16. No, bigger than that. What size did you have? 15, 16?
It's probably this one. Yep, it's this one here. 50, 60. Do we have a key? Let me see if I can do it with this one. Okay. No, it's good. It's good. Okay, work it down. Okay, and how many pounds is this? 50 pounds?
15 pounds.
50 pounds, go right ahead. We're good with the even the strut rods have a hole in it to put a lock pin in it, which I don't have them in stock at the moment. There are different kind of locks in it. You could put cotter pins, but the factory puts up there that's much stronger than a cotter pin, which I have them on order. I did not receive them yet, but I'll put them in later on. This prevents the nut from coming off also.
Nick, I believe on some cars, like my car, I saw, and it's called roll pins. You know,
Roll pin, yeah, and it's press fit, yeah.
And you tap them in.
That's right. That is correct. You know, if you guys ever watched that TV show, Dukes of Hazzard, they use the same kind of cars in the films, and they used a lot of 69 Chargers, I believe beyond 200 units. Imagine doing all those big jumps, what this kind of suspension took in place. A lot of beating, let me tell you. And frame rail, bending the frame rail, smashing the front end, strut rods, everything. Everything was gone to waste.
I hope they didn't never use the 500.
No, you know what? Man, who knows what they've used? The way they were doing the film in the TV show, you know, when a car lands, I'm sure it did not continue driving. I'm sure they just cut the film once the car lands. They cut the film and then they use another car rolling away. Because after a drop like that, with this type of front end, there's no way you could survive it in many cases. We gotta bring this down, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll tighten it after.
Yeah.
Okay, leave it there. Now we'll put the torsion bar and we're gonna...
I don't have the 130 pound mark.
Not yet, not yet. Okay, let's put the torsion bar in. You know, this type of suspension, we do not have a coil spring like most cars have. And a Chrysler, on a B-body, E-body, this is a torsion bar. This is held on the control arm, like so, and this is solid on the cross member of the body. So this works like a twist, like an arm. It's like a torsional bar, a torsional effect. So when the control arm is going up and down over here, because this is going to be bolted onto the, it's going to slide in through the lower control arm, and this will be solid fixed to the cross member, So this is not gonna move. And if you look at this side, it's also, this one locks in place. Yeah, it's a hexagon that locks in place. So, and then as you tighten the torsion bar, which is a bolt here that you can tighten the torsion bar, then with the weight, and when it's adjusted correctly with the weight, this holds in place, and this side turns, and picks up the car. It also holds up the weight of the vehicle. So instead of having a coil spring, this is what you have, a torsional bar. And also for heavy duty purposes, you can even buy a thicker torsion bar, thicker. This is just a basic torsion bar from another car. Like on this Eugene's car, it's got the 440 Hemi torsion bars, which are the thick ones. And then aftermarket, you can buy a thicker torsion bar for track racing, or even thinner for drag racing. So anyway, it depends what you guys want. Everybody has a choice. This torsion bar has a letter R on it, stating it goes on the right side. Porsches use a lot of torsion bars. Hey, Porsches? Yeah, a lot of Porsches, a lot of race cars use torsion bars. But you know, it depends. I don't know which car has coil springs or torsion bars. But you know, a torsion bar is good for handling packages. So in this case, we have a torsion bar. So let's say we put it on.
Yeah, let's put it on.
Okay, let's see how it goes on. Let's go underneath the car. So we got the torsion bar through the cross member. So this is a solid fixture. This is where the torsion bar is going to hold it. And in the front is where we make the adjustment to work like a torsional spring. And here we go. Okay, go ahead. See, this is going to lock in place. And now we have to line it up with the torsion bar and the lower control arm. Okay, you're going to tap it and we're going to show how it goes in here.
You ready?
Ready. So the torsion bar is going to lock in place here on the lower control arm. And it's got an anchor built in it, which is attached to the lower control arm. And it's an adjustable. To add tension, now, all we have to do is turn this bolt right here, put tension on the torsion bar, and raise or lower the car. Also has an effective suspension ride. You may go ahead, push it in, and then we also have a lock ring in the back once Robert pushes in the torsion bar all the way.
We need.
And you know, we don't want the torsion bar falling out of its place. So we got this little lock ring that we're going to install, which has a groove inside the cross member that locks it in place. Robert, you going to put it on? There you go. It's all yours. Okay. Now we're going to tighten up the torsion bar. You guys, you want to see the effect? Watch this. Since this side's complete, the torsion bar is not tightened yet. Come take a look. Right here. Here's the bolt. It's a 3/4 socket. It's on an anchor. Now what this is, as I tighten the torsion bar, this is going to push down, which actually pushes up the car. Here we go. We have no more compressor, eh? It doesn't matter. So we need to go further in and tighten it some more. We turned off the compressor so you guys don't have to hear the compressor in the shop while we're making this video. But in the meantime, we're just gonna bring it in a little bit more. And then after, when the car goes for an alignment, wheel alignment, we have to adjust them equal with the car sitting on the floor, put a few loads on it, push it up and down, and then adjust the torsion bars equally while the alignment is done.
The torsion bar is holding it. So.
Yeah. So now we're gonna tighten the front pivot nut. So now that it's tight in place, it's much easier to torque it down. There you go. There you have it. There you go. Did you see that, eh?
Yeah, you see it moving down.
Yeah, look at that. Nice. I love it when everything goes nicely together. The only thing we are not going to install is the shock absorber because I don't have the right model at the moment, but in the meantime, I'll show you where it goes. It's good? Just want to show them the layout. The shock absorber goes like this. It goes through the upper body. Here we go. Gotta shrink this. There you go. You don't have to put the bolt, just wanted to show them. There we go. So when I get the right shock absorbers, I will assemble it exactly the same way you see it right here. And there you have it. Complete suspension on. We have the suspension. And now just to show you guys an example for the tie rods, I don't have the boots in stock at the moment. I'm going to show you how the tie rods line up. Here's the center link, which is held up by a pitman arm and an idler arm. So we have a tie rod with the sleeve, outer tie rod, inner tie rod, like so. It goes like this, and this goes like so, and there we go. And then we have a sleeve, as you can see, like so. Anyways, I gotta, Robert, push this up for me, okay? Right, hold it there. I'm gonna turn the sleeve so you can see the front wheel turning. As you see it turning, that's your toe in and toe out. There you go. Okay? Did you see it move? There you go. So we're not going to put that on right now because I'm waiting for the boots to come in. Take that side out. All right. And there's a shock absorber. And there you have it. The front suspension. Steering is practically done. Torsion bar is in place. All we have to do now is install the front drum, adjust the outer bearing with it. And then I ordered 2 new caps, grease cups, brand new ones, because the older ones have a couple of dents, which I do not wish to put on, since we're not putting wheel covers on these wheels. So we want the caps to look nice. All right, Robert, you can install the brake hose? So Robert's gonna install the brake hose from the brake line to the wheel cylinder. But in the meantime, there you have it. We have the suspension done on the front end on a 69 Charger 500 that belongs to Eugene. Thank you for standing by, watching us here put it together here on Nick's Garage. And don't forget, you guys, like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching us here on Nick's Garage. Okay, Robin, you want to bring it down for the first time?
Yes, sir.
For the first time, we are going to have the car on its own wheels, its own suspension, resting on the floor, all on its own. Here we go. Can't wait to see this. You know, we need to roll the car forward, open the doors, and start doing the interior. So for that reason, we have to put all the suspension in place so we can roll it off the lift. Okay, that's no shortcut filters, eh? So it's going to bounce easy. But the height is going to be what you see. But we're going to have to adjust the torsion bars anyway. And you guys, if you look down below the video, we have a whole bunch of merchandise that you guys can buy. So whatever you like, buy it, love it, wear it, and enjoy it. And help spread the word of Nick's Garage. And if you have some time, check out our Patreon page. We have extra content and you guys can watch it and take it from there. And we'll see you next time.